Ladies and gentlemen, her.
Hi guys, welcome back to the HHER podcast. We're going to kick off with some introductions.
My name is Hannah, aka OB.
My name is also Hannah.
I'm Eunice.
And I'm Rachel, and together we are the HHER podcast.
I'm gonna might do that. No, I was going to, and I was like, I'm going to do it between my legs instead.
So today we are just going to dive in, and we want to say thank you to one of our special listeners who actually sent this topic in. Should I read her text message or not?
You can provide context and background to the question.
Yeah. So one of our dear listeners asked us to do an episode on imposter syndrome, and the context behind that is that I think she's in her final year of university. She's about to graduate and go into the working world, and she was just asking, like, obviously from a Christian perspective, how do we deal with imposter syndrome and like fear and not feeling good enough, and then obviously the pressures from like African parents and all that kind of stuff, and just basically navigating life after uni. But specifically focusing on imposter syndrome. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, and I think it's quite a cool topic just because I think a lot of people do kind of relate to that. I know that some of us can relate to that as well. Indeed. So yeah, we're going to start off with a definition of imposter syndrome, and according to Google, the persistent inability to believe that one's success is deserved or has been legitimately achieved as a result of one's own efforts or skills. People suffering from imposter syndrome may also be at increased risk of anxiety, which I do feel like it does come under that anxiety belt. And then another definition that I found, which I thought was quite cool, was imposter syndrome is the condition of feeling anxious and not experiencing success internally despite being high performing in external objective ways. This condition often results in people feeling like a fraud or a phony and doubting their abilities, and I think I relate more to this definition. But anyway, given those definitions, what do y'all think about imposter syndrome? Did you guys deal with it after uni? Graduating? Have you ever dealt with it ever?
Yeah, definitely. I've dealt with it 100%. How about you? Have you dealt with it?
I don't think so. Yeah, that's my answer.
I feel like I have, definitely. Yeah.
I've already said that I have. Okay, so what does how did imposter syndrome kind of like manifest in your life? Like, what did it mean to you, like when you were going through it?
I think for me it was when I got my first like proper job out, like once I finished uni, and I was getting there. For me, context wise, I work in the legal industry, like a legal team, in like a property company, and I was literally the youngest person there, and I was the only black person, let alone black woman there. So it's again the youngest. I don't see anyone that looks like me. It's like, okay, cool. Why am I here? Like every little thing, I thought, oh, am I doing it wrong? Like, I mean, part of it was sort of like new job, that just having been feeling uncomfortable, like a new job. But it did get to the stage where even if I was doing something right, I would still feel like, okay, I did this wrong. Or I was very self-critical. And for me, I think the imposter syndrome came from a place of, what's the English? Not having self-confidence. Yeah. Not having confidence in myself, in my ability to do the job, that type of thing. That's where, for me, it came from. Not necessarily, I'll say self-confidence. I just didn't have it when I first started, not gonna lie. But even now, I've been in the job for a year and a bit. It's like, there are still instances where that does still want to creep in, and it's mainly when like I'm doing something which is out of my comfort zone, and let's say I do it well, I'm still like, oh, okay, I did that wrong, or oh, okay, I blah blah blah, that type of thing. That's for me when it comes in a little bit.
Do you think you've kind of like grown out?
Yeah, 100%.
Alright, and what about you? Same question.
I think I'm probably in a very similar boat to Hannah in terms of how I experienced imposter syndrome. But I feel like I've not only experienced it at work, but even just in like, so obviously I think it's become like a general thing now. Everyone knows I do like fitness content and stuff like that on Instagram. I feel like even sometimes with that,
Restless GM at Restless G. Make sure you follow it. I'll try to spell it, but I feel like last time I tried to spell it, I don't know if I spelled it properly.
No, you did.
Did I?
You did, yeah.
You did,
Okay.
But yeah, in those two areas, I think I've definitely experienced imposter syndrome. So obviously gone to uni, done everything right. Then I've finally got my job coming out of uni, and as soon as I got there, it was like, okay, similar to Hannah, I'm the youngest member of staff. I am the only black person. I'm the only black woman. There's literally one other guy that even represents diversity on the team, and he's Asian. It's like, even our head of department is he's either mixed or he's black, and I didn't know.
Mad.
Like, I didn't realise. It's crazy, yeah. But yeah, so like in that area, I kind of experienced imposter syndrome, especially when it came to like certain events being run. So if I use a very recent example, there was an event that happened, because I work at university, so there was an event that happened, and this event involved a lot of external, I think they were called stakeholders, coming into the uni and, you know, presenting and saying, you know, this is what we have available to students that want to do placements, work experience, whatever. And I wasn't really involved in it at the start. I wanted to go and attend some of the presentations, but I just thought, you know what, let me stay in the office for a bit. When I eventually did leave the office and went downstairs, everyone around me just didn't look like me. And it put me off so much, because immediately I kind of thought, am I even supposed to be here? Like, am I even supposed to be in this space, in this industry? Like, I questioned so many times whether I've chosen the wrong industry to go into. Like, I always think, because when I was in school, I think my top two favourite subjects were art and PE. So I've always loved both of those. And I always question myself, I'm like, maybe I should have done art instead. Maybe I should have done something else instead. Like, it's deep.
Yeah.
And the same with my fitness stuff as well. Like, I'm a qualified PT.
Come on, no.
Hold on.
Please.
Do you want to
Say that again.
Okay, I'm a
More bass, please. Go.
Oh, if only we knew how to use a little sound
Yeah.
effect. We could do the pip-pip-pip-peel.
I'm a qualified PT, and even still, I find myself, I even still find myself second guessing myself when it comes to posting things. Like, I will literally be going on Google just to make sure I've said that the exercise I'm talking about targets the right muscle. Like, it's bad. And it's something God is helping with, and God, like I'm trusting God that I'm gonna grow out of this, but it is very difficult.
Yeah.
I think it's something I'm definitely still trying to get out of. I'm not gonna come and say that I'm not dealing with this, because literally these things that I've mentioned have happened in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So God's helping me though. I'm trusting God that I'm gonna get out of it. But yeah, that's how I've experienced it personally.
Yeah, I definitely resonate with you guys on being the youngest, being the only black person, and then also being the only youngest black female as well in the team. And do you think, I get that imposter syndrome is definitely something that everybody goes through, but I feel like there's something separate for black people, personally, because you feel like, because you're black, like when you go into the office, you know that you're black. Do you get what I mean? And like for me, I just felt like, I think when I first got into, I think on my placement year, because basically I just do the same thing that I was doing in my placement year. No, that's okay.
It's spraying in my mouth.
No, honestly. And then my first job out of uni, and they hired a black girl. So I'm thinking, did I get hired to meet a quota? Or did I get hired because I'm actually good at the job?
Same.
I don't know. Yeah, I do think about that sometimes. But to be fair, I don't really care. Either way, you hired me and I have money every month. So I don't really care. However, there's this thing of, you're kind of like, because you're the only young black person here, am I the reason? Yeah, and not even that. Like, yes, token black person, but also, am I going to be the reason they either hire more black people or they don't hire more black people? So I felt like I had to operate at a rate of excellence so that they know that actually black people are smart and they can get the job done. Hire more of us, please, because I don't want to come into the office and I don't see anybody that looks like me. And I feel like because everybody else is white, it adds this other pressure. And it's like, even culturally as well, like sometimes they'll be like, oh yeah, just watch the Bake Off when you get... I don't watch the Great British Bake Off. I don't do that, okay? I don't watch EastEnders anymore. I watch Suits. What else do I watch? I don't know, the Family Reunion, or I don't know, My Wife and Kids. That's what I watch when I go home. I don't watch all of this stuff that you people are watching, Peaky Blinders. I don't know. I'm not saying that black people don't watch this stuff. They definitely do.
Yeah.
But that's just not my cup of tea. You know, and I remember in my placement year, I would watch the British Bake Off so that in the office I have something to talk about. Even the other week I was telling you guys that I need to watch the King's coronation because if anybody should ask me about that coronation and I have nothing to say because they just come with all their excessive comments like, oh my gosh, you don't watch it, well, you don't know what that is. We don't know.
Oh my god.
We don't know.
The way they were talking about.
Do you know what skinny girl in transit is?
No, for real. I miss that show, by the way. I love it.
Season 7 is coming.
I know, they said it's been coming. When is it coming?
It's airing in Night first though.
Is it? Yeah, so I just feel like, I think there is imposter syndrome, and I think everybody goes through that, especially when you're fresh out of uni.
Yeah.
I think it's very normal for you to go through something like that. But then I think when you're black as well, I think there's something else. I don't know what it's called. Maybe it's just being black. I don't know. But like, I feel like there is this unsaid kind of like pressure, especially when you just see there's nobody else your age like doing what you're doing in that department.
Exactly.
So what do you guys think about that?
No, I agree. I think, but for me, like, I don't like to think about race like that, if that makes sense, because I think already like you put your, I'm aware, obviously you're aware of that, do you know what I'm saying, like I'm aware of that. But I don't like to see things like that because I think if something happens, your first instinct, like I'm not saying be oblivious, but you're naturally inclined to think, oh well, it's because I'm black. But no, like you delivered something late. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not nothing to do with your race. It's got something to do with the quality of work you're producing. But I'm not saying that this is a hypothetical situation. But I don't like to see it from that perspective.
But I think, sorry, I'm gonna, not to interrupt you, but I think it's not about how you see it, it's how it's seen
by other people.
It's their perception as opposed to yours. That's the
It's not my responsibility. Like,
but
that's their perception.
Of course, but it does affect how you feel at work.
Maybe you don't feel
it, but other
you can't relate. But it's very easy to think. Well, not that it's easy to think, but if I make a mistake, they're not looking at me as, oh, she just made a mistake. A lot of the time, it's not that simple.
Yeah. For some people, it's the black girl that made a mistake.
Yeah.
Whereas if you had someone else who's your age and your counterpart and they made the same mistake, it would just be like, oh, everybody makes mistakes. Because like now, and I can't lie, I think it's true because in my old job, all the people that I worked with are basically white. There was no one of like any like ethnic minority. In the job that I have now, my line manager is of ethnic minority. So whenever I make a mistake, she sees how like worked up I get. And even in my feedback, she was like, Rachel, like, you're not a robot. Like, people can make mistakes. So now I feel comfortable to make a mistake. Like, I don't feel that pressure anymore because she knows what it feels like to make it. And when you're young, because I'm young, like, we literally just started our career like a year ago. That's not that long. Do you get what I mean? So, like, you're bound to make mistakes. And she wants me to make as many mistakes now, whilst I'm still a junior, than to now get to senior level and you're making these dumb mistakes because you never felt free to do it in the beginning. Do you get what I mean? So I feel like for me, like there's definitely a difference in like how I feel now that I have a line manager who's of an ethnic minority. Let me not even lie. And now the work that I produce is even better, and she gives me the opportunities to do things that I didn't think that I know another line manager probably wouldn't give me, if that makes sense. And like, it's not that I can't do my job. I know that I can do my job now. Because she will literally be like, Rachel, I don't think you understand how much you've done since you joined. Whereas, and even now, sometimes I'm similar to Hannah, where even when I do a good job, I'm still doubting the fact that I did a good job. Even though the evidence is there that you did a good job. Do you get what I mean? Like, if somebody else did this work, you would say it was good. But because it's you know. And I think that just goes back to the imposter syndrome, which says that you have anxiety and you have the inability to believe that what you've done is good. Because I don't think it's about black people not being efficient, because you gave the example of if you submitted the work late.
No, I'm saying a hypothetical situation because I do feel like sometimes people do use that as like
their go-to.
In that situation,
in reality,
you're
like,
correct.
you actually, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No,
you
for
just
real,
did-
that is
you
very
just
But
true.
I
did it,
think
yeah.
there are black people who do their job properly.
Oh, don't get me wrong, yeah.
And they're
I'm sure.
doing really, really well, but they still suffer with this thing of I'm not good enough. Why am I here? I don't belong. Even me, my placement year, I literally used to go to work every day, shocked. How am I here?
Hey, can I ask a question though?
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, so how does that work? Okay, like obviously, so let's say the thing of how am I here, but then let's just say like you applied and you know that you prayed and God opened that door for you. So then how does imposter syndrome still come into play to that when you know that, let's just say God created that avenue for you to be where you are?
In the logical space, that what you're saying makes sense, and that should be the case because. And even outside of the God thing, yeah, like just to take away the spiritual side, if you applied for a job,
yeah.
they looked at your CV. Out of all the you think you're the only person that applied.
Yeah.
Out of all the CVs that they read, they picked you.
Yeah.
And even if they picked you because you're black, I'm sure there's other black people that applied, but you're the black person that they picked, right? So in like, let's even take the good thing out of it. You're qualified for the job, but you just don't believe that you're qualified for the job for some reason. Like you, it's just like having anxiety and just this feeling of like you just don't feel good enough. Yeah, and it's like you can't escape it. Like there's no way to rationalize it unless. I feel like I'm really blessed to have the line manager that I have now because she's really good at rationalizing things, and she literally at the end of every week, even at the end of every day, she'll be like, no, Rachel, you actually did really well, or you handled this really well. Or if I write an email, she'll literally tease me and be like, oh, that was a good email, to validate my work. And then and I really like that because it makes me feel like, oh, okay, like I'm doing my job. Like I'm doing my job. Do you get what I mean? So obviously if you can't relate, I don't know if this makes sense.
No,
I envy you though.
I'm
That you've never experienced imposter syndrome. I want to be like you when I grow up.
no, no, yeah.
Do you guys feel the type of industries that we're in has sort of contributed to?
I was gonna say because we are in completely different fields.
Yeah,
we
and I
are.
feel like for you, maybe the reason you don't feel like that is because, to be honest, a lot of black people end up working in pharmacy. And in
Is
the
there
healthcare
diversity in your place of work?
Yeah, like there's a lot of white. Don't get me wrong. There's more white people.
Of course,
Um,
of course, that's the given.
I just
We're in
Yeah.
England.
yeah,
that's a given.
No, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is more. There are black pharmacists, Asian pharmacists, white pharmacists.
And do you see ethnic minorities in like higher positions in where you work as well?
Ethnic minorities. Yeah, the chief pharmacist, the one who like he's Asian.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the time in pharmacy in particular, and I only say this because my mum is a pharmacist, and I've seen her work in so many different places, and every single time the pharmacist, the guy at the top, he's either black or she's Asian, or he's Asian.
And I think that's where it's different for you then, because you actually see people who look like you in places of authority. So you have something like that. You might not, it might not mean anything to you, but because you can, it's there. Like you can see it.
It's
Whereas,
subconscious.
it's
it
a
may not even be
subconscious thing.
something you're aware
Whereas
of.
with us, like
Maybe
even me, I work in law, and literally, there's no black partners.
You need a Jessica.
Like there's literally like Suits is a lie. There's no black partners. There's hardly ever like black associates, even trainees. Like it's literally like white man's land. And even in business services,
I can understand how that's quite
like I only see black people in IT and compliance.
Tell me about it.
But then in business development, which is where I work, I don't see until the line manager that I have now. She's like Vietnamese and like Chinese, but because I've met her, I can't lie. I feel like there's hope for me as well. Like I'm happy that I have her. But there's nothing to like. I don't even know if I know anybody outside of my company who's also doing what I'm doing, because I don't think it's a profession that black people really do. I don't know, maybe it is. I don't know.
I didn't really know about business development until you went into it, to be honest. I
Seriously?
didn't know it was a thing at all, but that could just be my ignorance, to be honest.
I fell into it, to be honest.
I think other than you, the only person I know that worked in business development is my brother.
Is
That's
it?
literally what his job was before he switched jobs. Yeah, he was literally like,
Yeah.
So if not for that, I'd be like, oh, okay, this is the job, okay.
Okay, another question. Do you guys feel like, let's say where you guys work now, let's say there was, I don't know, 50% more black people in your teams or business or wherever you guys work, do you feel like you would have still suffered from imposter syndrome if there were more people, not necessarily black people, more people that look like you that you could relate to, that type of thing when you first joined? Or do you feel like you still would have felt the same feelings that you had, basically?
I feel like I would have still felt imposter syndrome, but I don't think it would have been as intense, and I don't think it would have lasted that long, as long as it did, if that makes sense.
I think having more of a sense of community there probably would have helped, because the thing is with such a space, it's like, as much as, you know, they want to make sure morale's good and they're trying to create this family sense or whatever, it's like, that's all good and well, but the thing is, you don't understand me. And to be quite frank, I don't understand you very well.
Exactly.
Because there are a lot of differences. We can try and understand each other. Exactly. A lot of it comes down to culture. And it's like, I can try and understand you, you can try and understand me. But the reality of it is, you will never truly understand how I feel, what I'm going through. Yeah, no, that's what I was going to say. I feel like it just, that sense of community, I feel like it would have helped. I don't know if it would have completely eliminated everything, but I definitely feel like it would soften the blow, if that makes sense.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I also feel like ethnic minorities, even if you're not from the same place, we all speak the same language. So, and I think some things happen in the workplace where it's like, things have happened, like maybe someone sent an email or whatever, and my line manager would literally be like, Rachel, are you okay? Whereas like, because she's an ethnic minority, she knows that she can ask me that question, because she knows that, okay, yeah, that could potentially rub me up the wrong way. Or whereas like, I don't know, I just feel like other people that are not an ethnic minority wouldn't do that. Do you get what I mean?
No, I guess
and like I remember when I was on annual leave, when I came back, and she knew that there was an email in my inbox that would upset me, but she I think she called me first. She was like I think she called me because she knows what that partner is like, and she just wanted to kind of like make sure that I was okay and that I don't receive it in the wrong way.
Wow, she's
and
really caring.
she really is. And I think I don't know if that's an ethnic minorities thing or if that's just she's just a caring person. But even if it's not an ethnic minority but you have a caring line manager, I think that goes a long way as well.
It does help.
Do you get what I mean? And I think sometimes the environment that you're working in can be really cutthroat and people actually don't care about you. But if you're working with people who do care about you, then it makes a difference. So I don't know if it's always about having ethnic minorities or just having human beings. Do you know what I mean? Just nice people.
Actually, because it's like you say, like if you have a good line manager, your workspace is immediately that bit. That's no, that's just yours. I was gonna big up my line manager small because he's really good, and like even when I got promoted last year, it's like when
Wait, you got promoted last?
Yeah,
you told us. Okay, you told us. Okay,
I went from being an assistant tech to a tech.
Come on, please, not behind you.
You guys, man. But yeah, like even when I got the job, it's like I could barely believe it. I was like, what the heck? Like how? But the thing is, it's like I wanted to add this. It's like I don't want people to think that the fact that we deal with this is we're doubting God or that we're not trusting in God, because we are. It's just I don't know what it is.
It's human.
I guess to be quite simple, or put simply, it's sometimes it is just very difficult to, I guess, remember that God has already validated you in certain spaces. But yeah, that's just what I was gonna add.
And also, because you said if there was more ethnic minorities, would you still experience imposter syndrome? And I think what it is that I don't think it's always about the ethnic minorities or seeing people who look like you. I think that does have a big part to play in it. But I also feel like it's the fear of the unknown. Like you've never done it before. Like this, like being in even the whole concept of being in a 9-to-5, having to go to work every single day is different. It's foreign to a student. Someone that probably had to be in, because uni and A-levels is different, you know. Some people were only going to uni twice a week. That was their timetable.
Some people weren't showing up to the lectures.
Exactly.
You were just about to submit your assignments, and now they're saying deadline at Friday.
And you have to submit, and you have to submit it by COB. Do you know what I mean? It's a long day. And like there'll be days where I remember there'll be times at uni where it's like, honestly, for the life of me, I can't. I cannot.
And you could
my
just take an
room.
off day.
And you just take an off day. When I'm ready,
Work.
I'll catch up tomorrow or at the
once.
weekend, or maybe I won't catch up at all. Whereas at work, you don't have that. You have to show up.
There's no catching up.
There's no catching up. Unless you're taking
When you
annual
have
leave.
deadlines, what catch up is there?
And even when you're taking annual leave, you have to write a handover because all your time is accounted for.
I think even now that you've said that, actually, in regards to how you actually, I guess, go through your uni experience, because you know how you submit assignments, whether or not you attend lectures. I think that's also where imposter syndrome can stem from. Of course, our listeners, like, I don't know if that's necessarily relevant to her, but imagine being a uni student. Literally, you don't show up to any of your lectures. You just about make most of your assignment deadlines, and then you're going into a job. Say you get a really good job when you come out of uni, because you know you've done what you said at uni, you've done well, you've got a degree. Like, kudos to you. You know, you're given all of this workload, and they're like, okay, you need to do this, this, and this by this time, and it needs to be on time.
Yeah.
Of course, you're gonna feel some imposter syndrome in that situation. Do you know what I mean? Because like, this whole new workload is brand new to you.
It's brand new to you. And you
Like,
don't know how to do it.
exactly.
Even things like using Outlook. Like, this is going to sound really silly, but like, Outlook on my phone, my personal email, I know how to use that. But when you go to work, there's, you know, your calendar is synced with your email. I don't know, that we have this thing called iManage. So like, even on your Outlook, like, your documents would be saved like within Outlook as well. So like, there was just like, I don't know, even the way you have to file your inbox and like flag things and all this kind of stuff. Like, there's just so many. Like, Outlook alone can confuse somebody if you're going to corporate.
Not the email.
No, like, I'm not even trying to be extra. Like, it's just the truth.
I hear you.
Yeah, but I would say that imposter syndrome is something that everybody or most people will experience. And I think it's just, you just need to get out of your head. Like, if you weren't good enough, they wouldn't have hired you.
Yeah.
And also, they know that you're new. They know that you're fresh. They know that you're a junior. So they shouldn't expect, I don't know, senior manager level work from you. They should really ease you into it. There is training, by the way. They do train
They
you.
don't just drop you in at the deep
They don't
end.
just drop you there. And it's like, there is a lot of guidance offered to you if you're doing something for the first time as well. And if you don't understand something, ask questions.
Yeah.
Don't just sit on things. It's quick. I know that sometimes, I know for me, I try to figure things out on my own. But I feel like sometimes
too.
no, just ask the question, bro. Honestly, because it will take you a week. If you just ask the question today, you can finish that task like literally today. But
That's true.
yeah. But just to, obviously, because we are Christians, I know I said that it's normal for you to experience imposter syndrome, but at the same time, as a Christian, I don't think it's normal. So I got the scripture, 2 Timothy 1 verse 7, and it says, "For God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind." There's no anxiety in a sound mind, you know. And I think if you can just use this scripture to encourage yourself in the Lord when you do get there, because at the end of the day, God provided you this opportunity. On top of it, he used man to hire you. So, you know, your CV is obviously amazing, and you've had all these wonderful experiences, and you have the skills, otherwise they wouldn't have hired you. Do you know what I mean? You just need to learn how to now use these skills in a different way, if that makes sense. So it's not that you're not good enough, you are, otherwise they wouldn't have hired you. Like, honestly, corporate is cutthroat. The world is cutthroat, let me not lie, not even just corporate.
You know, it was what Hannah's brother said, like, when we were at your house, and he was like, oh my God, I need to tell her the truth because the streets, what did he say?
He knows what he said anyway.
It was so good. Honestly, I was just like, wow, it's true. Like, yeah, sometimes the truth is cutthroat, but the streets are cutthroat too. So
Exactly.
that was so funny. Honestly.
And you just have to believe that you are enough. Because who actually told you that? Like, where does imposter syndrome even come from as a child of God? When God validated you, so why would you now? Even syndrome indicates that there's a problem. And I don't think God created you with a problem. Do you get what I mean?
I was even just I was just thinking about all like the Bible characters who just did like extraordinary things, like just like Moses going to speak.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's in my notes.
Is it? Oh yay!
Look.
You know,
Examples of people. No, because and Moses is the first person.
wow, it's the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, I feel like he's someone that would have. No, he experienced imposter
Just
syndrome.
think about it.
There was just no title for it.
Yeah.
Like think about it. Like you're literally man, you've been living like what in the wilderness. 40 years, your past is clearly behind you, and I've got to tell you like go back there and speak. You're a stutterer, you're a stammerer, and you're now called to lead people.
But even outside of that, he grew up with the Egyptians. So even the people that he's called to lead, they didn't want him. They didn't want him to lead them. He didn't feel like he was qualified to lead those people.
It's true, and they could have been seeing him as like this Egyptian
And then
person.
then on top of it, he has a stutter.
Yeah.
So it's like there's people in the Bible who have experienced it.
Yeah.
Even Esther, Queen Esther. How do you think she was like to her uncle Mordecai, like, how do you think I'm meant to do this? What if he doesn't pick me?
That's true.
You know,
Even
there's other
David's-
people.
Oh yeah,
David.
Even his own dad didn't think, these are all my children. These are all my children. He went, he's outside.
So, I just remembered there's one more.
But the special thing about David is that although he was with tigers and bears, so he was already prepared. So you don't know what you've gone through in your life already that has prepared you for this moment to do this job. You have something valuable to bring to this organisation.
And the thing is, I feel like we all know that. Because we do know we've got the degree, we know what we've learned, we know what experiences we've gone through and what skills we've like accumulated. But I think the problem is now when you're in it, when you're in the thick of it, it's like remind yourself that you've done all of these things, and not only that, but remind yourself that God has put you there for a reason.
Exactly.
And sometimes it is very difficult to, because if it wasn't difficult, then we would all be doing that. We wouldn't be saying we've been doing it.
Exactly.
But I think it's literally just a case of, because even when you look at David's story, it's like we just said, he was literally left with the sheep. His dad didn't even think anything of him. And then Samuel said, no, like, you have, like, there's someone else, like, bring him forward. It's like, if God gave Samuel enough wisdom to be like, you know what, there's someone else, bring him. There's a reason why these people have now picked you to be in that role and be in that position, like Rachel's already said. I feel like it's just a case of actually, I guess, asking for the ability to actually believe that God has put things in you that people see and people are drawn to.
Exactly.
But you can't see it in yourself.
That's
Why?
I think sometimes it's important though that we have to get in the habit of reminding ourselves.
No,
you have to
because
improve.
you know there's one thing knowing the truth and there's another thing accepting it and it becoming your truth.
That's it. That's true.
And if you don't believe for yourself, you can't expect other people to believe for you.
And it's like people can tell you, but it's like, oh, I sound like a hypocrite saying this. I sound like such a...
I'm screaming.
Oh, God. Yeah, I'm going to stop.
No, but at least the Holy Spirit is peppering you right now. So
It's ginger.
ginger and pepper and everything.
This is for you, Hannah, because she actually said that she's trying to get a job, but each role I find or read, I always feel unqualified. Like somehow I didn't just do 3 years of law. I find myself sometimes stressing about my future, and when I'm not stressing, I feel like I'm not doing enough for my future.
Wow.
And it's like, obviously you did 3 years of law, and
did
law is
4.
4 years. Oh yeah, you did 4. And law is not an easy
Placement,
degree to study.
Law,
So-
is okay. I'm not gonna say it's the hardest profession to get into, but it's bloody hard. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
It is every turn this way obstacle, another one obstacle, another way obstacle. It's just like, do you want lawyers or not? Do you know what I mean? Like, do you want people to be lawyers or not? And it's of that thing where it's like, okay, you want to get this entry level role now. Let's say you want to be a paralegal, legal assistant, whatever. They're asking for experience. No one is giving you experience. It's that age old, thing of, okay, you want me to have experience, but where am I to get it from? It's going to come from the sky.
I think that's one of... I think that's uni students' biggest downfall.
Yeah.
Is
That was
the lack
definitely
of
mine.
experience.
100%.
That's why I always
Even
say
with a placement year, I had a placement
even
year, and I still wasn't getting jobs because of my lack of experience. But I had a whole year in industry. Like it's.
But I think with the whole experience thing, because it's really annoying, how are you advertising a junior role and then expecting the junior to have 2 years industry experience? That makes no sense. But I would say the way you word your CV is really important. Because at the end of the day, read the job description, pull out the skills that they want and the experiences that they're looking for, and then cater your CV to the job description. A lot of people don't know the art of writing a CV. Like at the end of the day, they need to know that you have the skill set. So if they're saying communication, team building, whatever, and job description, I'm sure there's been an example of when you had to communicate.
And that's another thing as well. It's like you actually have to give examples.
Give examples.
You can't just say you did X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And also, I think another thing in like is what did you actually learn from your
What
experiences?
exactly? What value did you add in that situation?
Exactly. Because as much as they might say you don't have a certain experience, the reason why they could be saying that could simply be because you didn't express what you learned
needed
from
to
it.
express properly in your CV.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
I do feel, okay, she feels unqualified for what she's applying for, but you probably are unqualified.
And that's okay.
and that's okay. Because
As
we were
harsh
all,
as it sounds.
yeah, you've never had a job
Exactly.
before, do you know what I mean?
So you're not gonna. And here's the thing. You know the thing about applying for jobs, that I found, especially like after uni.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Someone told me this. Like it must have been some careers person or something. But they were like, okay, you see a job description, and it wants A, B, C, and D. You may not fit A, B, C, and D, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you shouldn't apply for the job.
Exactly.
They will like see what the requirements are as like a nice to have or that type of thing. But even if they want someone with 1 year's experience, you may not have 1 year's experience, but they can like you that much where they still want to take you on type of thing.
Literally.
So don't use that as like a
discount
blocker to like, okay, cool, they want someone with 1 year's experience. I haven't got that, means I can't apply. No, absolutely not.
Even if they don't necessarily see, well, of course, in your CV you need to cater as much as possible, of course. But even if they're not so sure, they may still offer you the interview, and it can be the interview that's your saving grace.
Exactly.
Because they actually get to see what you're like.
Exactly.
100%.
And then also it gives you an opportunity to tell more of your story.
Yeah.
So if there's something you said in your CV, they'll be like, oh, okay, you said that you did this, this, and this. Can you talk to me about it? And from there, before you know it, they're getting a call saying, hi, we want to offer you the job.
Literally.
Because, sorry.
Yeah, no, go on.
I just wanted to add finally, it's like sometimes it can actually be your personality as well, and just the way you are that people like, and then it's like, okay, you know what, we're gonna give you an opportunity, we'll give you a chance, and then we're gonna build you up.
Yeah.
So that you do get all the skills you need to get to progress, you do get all the other opportunities you need to grow, and then before you know it, you're fully qualified.
I can't lie, personality goes along.
She really sped that whole journey up.
No, but guys, I can't lie.
If I'm gonna be specific, that's the end
Yeah.
goal.
I can't. If you do make it to interview stage, personality goes a long way.
Absolutely.
It goes a lot. Like you could be the most unqualified person, but with the most lit personality that fits in with the culture of the firm.
Yeah.
And they would rather pick you and train you and get you up to standard than pick somebody else who is fully qualified but their personality is dead.
Exactly.
It's happened. It happens.
Yeah, it does.
Like it actually happens.
More frequently than you think.
Literally, because there's some people that even now in my current job, there's some people that I look at and they have senior next to their name, and I'm even wondering, bro, how did you?
How did we
But
get here?
how did you because you always think, oh, I need to be skilled, I promise you, in my placement year there were senior people that didn't know how to use Excel, PowerPoint, even Word, even you.
Not words.
No, but I can't lie, I work in a law firm, partners, anything outside of the law, they don't know how to use it. And if they can get jobs and they're making serious money, you know how to do everything, I don't know why you wouldn't be able to get a job.
That even reminds me, the other day, one of the partners I work with, he was doing like a PowerPoint slide for some meeting he was having, and he asked me, can I add an arrow onto the PowerPoint?
They will do stuff
An
like that.
arrow. One common arrow. That's what he asked me to
I
do.
swear you just have to click on shapes for that.
No, you do.
Even if you don't, is there not Google?
Just copy and paste an image of an arrow.
The time that you're asking me, the time that you're emailing me to ask me to put an arrow, you could have put the arrow yourself.
Honestly.
And you'll come across many situations like that. Like I remember one time they were like, "Oh, Rachel, I'm having issues with the formatting. Can you just delete this person's? Delete something."
No, you just click one button, delete.
It says it. It says on the button.
And the people, listen, the thing is, because when you're fresh off uni, you're scared of these people. There's nothing to be afraid. They're all human as well, and they all have their shortcomings.
Yeah.
And I think the thing is, everybody in work is always learning.
Yeah.
Like nobody is perfect at their job. Even some people, like sometimes my line manager doesn't even know the answer. She has to go, but she knows who to go to get the answer.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? So you don't need to know everything. You don't need to be a finished product. You literally just finished from uni. Like you've never had a job before, and if you did have a job before, it was probably not that, but just know how to communicate things on your CV.
Yeah.
That's one thing I can relate with actually in terms of like knowing the right people to ask. Because literally for me, sometimes, like, the first day I was on the ward by myself, that was so overwhelming, honestly.
I think I remember this.
Yeah,
as
'cause-
well. You told us about it.
Yeah, and literally consultants will come up to me and ask me questions, and I'm like, I haven't even heard of that drug.
Is that a new one?
What's that do? But my first response is like, oh wow, okay, that's a great question actually. You know what, let me confer with my colleagues and I'll get back to you. And I'm literally calling my friend like, I don't know, what do you think what's this drug do? I'll quickly be Googling, but I'm just trying to find out. But I'll always act composed. Like, I will never be like, oh my god, I don't know. Nah.
Yeah.
It's okay not to know
Yeah, it's okay
something.
not
It
to
is
know,
okay,
and it's
yeah.
okay to
And
be like,
go
oh,
to the sources.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
come back to you with that.
Literally,
Like,
that's
it's
actually what I say.
because I always used to think, oh my gosh, whenever
You
someone
don't have to know
emails me,
everything.
I have to respond straight. No, you do
Yeah,
not.
exactly.
You can't wait till the close of. You can't wait till 5:30 to respond to that email. You can even wait till tomorrow if you want to.
No,
Do you get what I mean? Like, you don't have to do everything straight away. You can just add it to your to-do list and be like, okay, thank you for your email. When do you want this by? If they say next week or
I don't like
tomorrow,
asking that
today.
question.
No, but at least you can manage it.
Because if they say this evening, I'm like,
No, but you can. No, but you can. Or if you don't want to, if you don't want to ask them, you could be like, okay, yeah, I can get this done for you by.
Exactly. Yeah, that's
And then
like-
you ask all the people that you need help from.
Yeah.
No, literally.
Literally.
Honestly, always ask. Like, I literally just get people's numbers because when I'm on the wall, I know who to call.
Yeah.
If I don't know something, I'll call. So they don't answer, I'll call another person. And
It's
other
always good
person
to
will answer.
network.
Yeah.
100,
I was
like,
going
I'm
down that as
literally-
well.
She was.